If it pleases my leader and leaders, my fellow Bahamians, and my beloved torchbearers, good evening. Let me begin tonight with the foundational premise of this presentation. And it is this: you are the future worth voting for. I offer to you at the beginning of my presentation the words of Holy Writ as scripted in Paul's letter to Titus. And it calls each of us to duty, such that we may never forget the virtue of selflessness, hard work, and good causes. Paul says, show yourselves in all respects to be models of good works, and in your teaching show integrity, dignity, and sound speech that cannot be condemned, so that your opponent may be put to shame, having nothing evil to say about you. End quote. And so I ask you, my dear brothers and sisters, who our opponents are. Who might they be? I say to you that they are the status quo. They are inaction, indifference, the kind of self-serving and self-indulgent behavior that have put our beautiful Bahamas in such a precarious position. Torchbearers, the time has come for good works, good acts, acts of integrity and dignity informed by wise words in the name not of our individual interests, but on behalf of the greater good of all Bahamians. It seems like this beautiful country, which just moments ago had so much potential, now finds itself at the precipice of disaster. From the promise of independence yesterday, we see a country that has turned to the tyranny of crime. Over 500 record-breaking murders in the past 5 years. 4 downgrades now to junk bond status. An increased debt to GDP ratio from 55% in 2012 to now over 77% today. Over $2.3 billion borrowed in the 4.5 years and nothing to show for it. Countless acts of corruption, both big and small, that go unpunished, unreported, and it seems unnoticed. Simply put, my dear brothers and sisters, we are in the midst of an unprecedented national emergency, a crisis of faith, a crisis of confidence, and ultimately a crisis of conscience. We are losing our way. We are perilously close to losing our purpose. But my dear brothers and sisters, my beloved torchbearers, it doesn't have to be this way. We are better than this. There is a future worth voting for. And that future is here and now. Check this. We are a people of pride, capability, resolve. We must rally together. Man, woman, rich, poor, accomplished, or still striving. I submit to you, my beloved torchbearers, that in order for the soul of the Bahamas to be redeemed and its unequal potential to be realized, we, older siblings of yours, are asking and depending on you to help us to enshrine 4 core principles. Number 1, a culture discipline, order, excellence, and innovation. Number two, a system of accountability and transparency. Number three, a society based on meritocracy, not who you know or who knows you, and justice and fairness for all. This is the future worth voting for. Now understand, innovation is key. It is what the universe is impelling upon us today. I think most of you call it thinking outside of the box. In other words, we cannot be satisfied with the same old, same old. You got it. We must, my dear brothers and sisters, seek to reinvent ourselves into new, exciting ways. And this goes across the board. Whether it's in education or management, the public sector, the hospitality industry, marine agriculture, the delivery of government services, whatever and wherever, we must be new and better again. You see, technology is the world's language today. And my younger siblings, my torchbearers beloved, you have a more firm and established grasp on this than we, your more elder siblings. It must be, this technology, the catalyst, the engine, the blueprint of the future that is worth voting for. And your ex-FNM government will ensure that technology is at the center of that change. Because, let me speak for a moment to my older 45-plus-year-old friends. Understand this, my dear brothers and sisters. These beautiful young people are the grace, beauty, and brains of our Bahama land. The only impediments that they have today is what we, unfortunately, have placed upon them. But I invite you, my dear torchbearers, to bloom right where you are planted. I stand here tonight to apologize to many of you on behalf of some of the adults, whether parents or elders, school teachers, seniors and otherwise, who have failed in their sacred responsibility to you to model for you examples of excellence and integrity, competence, and intelligence. I apologize, but that is no excuse. Their failure is no excuse, because you still have many wonderful examples, living and dead, who can provide for you a gleaming example of the best and brightest in this country. Because, my dear friends, this country will not permit you to escape your responsibility and obligation to become the productive citizens that we need at this time. Have you registered to vote? Have your friends and your family registered to vote? Have you volunteered? Are you campaigning with your respective candidates and representatives to be? No use complaining about the sordid state of Bahamian affairs unless and until you are prepared to roll up your sleeves, get down and dirty, and make it happen and vote FN. Your future is worth fighting for, worth voting for. And start the fight now and keep on fighting. I am disturbed at times by many of you, my dear younger brothers and sisters, who feel a sense of entitlement because you are young. That the world somehow owes you something. Well, it doesn't. It doesn't. Except that it owes you an opportunity. It owes you a chance. What you do with that is up to you. I don't want you to think that all of us adults had it easy. Many of us had struggles. We had to slog our way up a very steep uphill climb. There was no bed of roses. I was born and raised in Camp Road to a single, unwed, unattached, unprepared mom and dad in a two-room, not two-bedroom, two-room house. I was the first in my family to go to high school. It was on a hill. The first in my family to go to college. Hunger was one of my closest friends. Patched and down pants were my adornments. But baby, look at me now. I say to you, my younger brothers and sisters, what I say to the rest of the Bahamas: get with it or get left. You are a generation that is far more expanded and enriched by life's experiences and education here and abroad than your parents could ever have dreamed. I know that you will no longer accept the usual platitudes and laundry lists from politicians. We know you want policy ideas laid out in professional implementation-ready forms with operational strategies together with the means to finance them and mechanisms to advance them once in government. You want and deserve full, credible, trustworthy explanations as to how your tax money was spent and managed. You deserve to be told the truth about everything. Not that Bahama is sold, but it isn't sold. You see, our opponents, the government, think that they should offer it to you out of courtesy. We in the F&M offer it to you out of respect and duty. That's the difference. That is why our country is in such a desperate need of a systemic transformation. Same old is finished. It's a new day. Now, to achieve this, the F&M recognizes and is committed to that one of the key components in the essential transformation in this country must be engineered through a holistic 21st century educational paradigm that respects, empowers, exposes, and develops the innate talents and potential of all Bahamians. It is universally accepted, my dear friends, that education is the pivotal agent and instrument of social change and development. Throughout history, education has brought about phenomenal changes in every aspect of people's lives and enabled them to effectively participate in the activities of society and make positive contribution to the progress of that society. That is why the F&M is in agreement with the working draft of the 2016 National Development Plan Secretariat, which has identified 5 key areas of challenges in our educational system. Number 1, we have a national skills deficit. Number 2, we are pathological in our substandard in numeracy, literacy, and oracy. We are poor in including all members of our society in the educational paradigm and in society, and it is causing us to have this rank, persistent unemployment. We know that there cannot be any progressive and sustainable economic or social or intellectual development of the Bahamas without proper education and training of our people. And in response, the F&M's agenda for education will comprise of 4 fundamental principles, and it includes you. Listen carefully. Everybody will be held accountable. Everybody will be held accountable. You and me. Teachers, parents, the school system, government, and society. Number 2, there will be a created and enhanced, rewarding learning environment throughout this country. Number 2, 3, we recognize that learning never stops. Number 4, everybody has a right, a fundamental right to quality education. Everybody. Now let me tell you something, which of course I know you know. I speak to you tonight as a Bahamian who has come to get the job done. I ain't no politician. I don't want to be no politician. I am here as your servant to get the job. I know any of my colleagues are here to play. We are not those others, opponents, who like to use the term we propose and we envision or we hope to. No, no, no. There's a difference between us. They make promises. We make commitments. What does that mean? We will get the job. So let me start. Number 1, social promotion is over. End. Number 2, I went down with my brother Marvin to the government high school after the incident recently, and we were both mortified, depressed, shocked, so on and so forth. Number 2, our school campuses will be secure. In and around the campus. Will, not might, we go try, will be secure. We listened to the teachers. They were complaining about having to do everything or be distracted by all kinds of things than teach and instruct. No problem. Our teachers and educational professionals are going to be treated like the professionals they are. They are going to make more money. They are going to have better benefits. They are going to have paid professional development opportunities. And they will be held accountable. Did you not hear me say at first, everybody? Number 5. We're sending our teachers away to have them professionally upgraded. Right here in the Bahamas, we have professionals who can assist them. So we will establish a professional teachers institute. You got a problem with lesson plans? There are new teaching and educating methodologies that come out every day. You want to learn the newest, latest technology? Now, what is this going to do? Right now, our best and brightest want to be like me, a lawyer. or like our leader, a doctor, or a pilot, or an engineer. Oh no. Because of what we will do in the F&M, this is going to be on par with any other choice they will have. Teaching will be a rewarding teaching school. Now, I have more here, but I just wanted to tease you a little bit. Yeah. Oh, one more. Can I give you one more? Right now, the Education Act calls for children between 5 and 16 to be in school, right? No. By the time they get to grade 1, they are struggling. By the time they get to grade 1. And what happens because of social promotion, they go on not able to master the basics. You got me? We're going to change that. Right. It will be mandatory in this country under the leadership of the Prime Minister, Dr. Hubert Minnis. And whomever he chooses as his Minister of Education. That all children potty trained, 2.5, 3 years old, must be in school. So that by the time they get to grade 1, they will have mastered age-appropriate numeracy, literacy, computation, and oracy. Oracy means how you speak. Make sense? Let's move on. No, just one more. Can I give you one more? One more. Right now, listen to me. Right now, those students in primary school, they have to struggle with 13 subjects. Primary school, the basics. That's it. We are going to reduce that number to the basics. That's it. Let's go on. Now listen. Listen. My dear friend. No. I want to remind you, my brothers and sisters, that we are a people who are driven by a biblical ethic. Our web page, well, let me say it this way. Their web page is called My, right? Our web page is called Our. That tells you something about them, but it also tells you something about why. Check this out. So in Matthew chapter 6, the apostle says, Lord, teach us how to pray. And he starts by saying, when you pray, go into your inner room, in your heart, close the door, shut out distractions, pray to your Father in heaven who sees you in secret, reward you openly. But then he says, but when you pray, say this. We are about all Bahamians. We are not about a selected few. We are not about family, friends, and financiers. We are about all Bahamians. When the former Prime Minister, Mr. Ingram, established a scholarship program, all got the scholarship. When the others came to the government, they selected who should get. When Mr. Ingram came to government, all Bahamians were getting contracts. When the others came to government, selected. You understand? Why? Because with them it is my. With us it is our. Now listen. I didn't come here to preach, because the next thing you know, it will be a collection, so just listen. But my brothers, and my sisters, we are a beautiful country. We are immensely talented. Look at our Bahamas Air pilots. Look at our scholars. Look at our athletes. Phenomenal. You know, Jesus in Matthew chapter 5, verse 14 says, you are the light of the world. You are a city on a hill that cannot be hidden. We are a shining city, my brothers. In its concept and in its imagination, it is a city and a concept that refuses to be defeated. A refusal to accept that crime and debt and these are or will be our true and final story. This shining city is a dream of a well-governed and clean and well-organized and crime-free, high-performance Bahamas, because we owe it to ourselves to demand of ourselves the best life that these islands can offer. This shining city is the intention, the resolve, no, indeed, the demand that we will cultivate through work and discipline the best life that the world can offer for ourselves, our families, and our friends at home. This dream was best expressed by our foreparents, best expressed by the team that we have assembled to become your government in a couple of weeks. Let him ring the bell. Hurry up, ring the bell.
Vote them out. Where we gonna do? Vote them out. Where we gonna
Ring
do?
the bell. Ring the bell. This ugly, crony political system we have allowed in these islands of marvelous beauty, destroying the aspirations of so many of our young people who now choose to stay away rather than to return home. This wonderful and beautiful and blessed city and country that we have, you are allowing and deferring to them because you refuse to register so you can have the opportunity to remove them and their culture out of the annals of our Bahamian history. Oh, but Bahamas, oh Bahamas, do not be weary in well-doing. Bahamas, oh Bahamas, awake! There is a future worth fighting for and working for. Awake to the history in our bones that we know so well, but somehow our minds have forgotten. Awake to the charge that to whom a God has given so much beauty, greatness, and potential is rightly expected to return. Awake to keep sound and healthy the best of your faithful spirits. O torchbearers, awake, and let us commit ourselves to thinking and working and living on the high ground when others would sink us low. Because if we commit to following the example of our many hero fathers and mothers, if we commit to the beauty of our island home with the same mastery of the Bahamas Air pilots, or the skill of our athletes, or the mastery of our artists, we can say in these islands, we are awake to our potential as a commitment, a demand, and a faith. And from this, let the world go forth, because we have a future that's worth voting